So we welcome the panelists. So we have Faysal, then we have Girish, and then Mr. Islam and Mr. Mark. So quick round of introduction for yourself.
Hi, my name is Faysal Ghauri. Basically, I'm managing partner and chief strategist for FANUUN Business Consulting Group. I'm here in Saudi Arabia for almost 2 decades.
Thank you. Hello, good evening everyone. I'm Girish Chandra, Global Director in BP UPS system. We are specialized in power infra solution, example of UPS system, battery energy storage. We do have also data center solution like smart rack solutions and lithium ion batteries. So we are a global player. We do export around in 20 countries. Our manufacturing plant in India, and from there we export. And probably I think in all the critical application, like you name it, data center, we are domestic India #1 brand, and where we supply to many of that data center industries our critical power application. So today I think I love to have this discussion about Saudi Riyadh, how the data centers industries are coming here. So I think all thanks to all W.Media and my colleagues, and definitely I will keep my view in today that whatever topic we have chosen. Thank you for this.
Thank you, Girish. I'm Islam Saleh, GM Control Ezditek. Ezditek is a data center developer in Saudi Arabia. We are developing large-scale data centers across major cities in KSA. I've been in Saudi Arabia for the last 5 years, and very happy to be here with my dear panelist colleagues and all the audience. Hope to have like a very good discussion together.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Mark Rayner. I'm GOLDTRACK Ventures Managing Director. And I look from the investor side of how DCs will actually affect what we're doing here. And we're looking at raising a data center fund in Saudi Arabia today. And I've got 25 years of VC and private equity experience. And it's a really exciting time to be here. So looking forward to the discussion.
Yeah, thank you. To start off with, so today we are going to have a discussion on how Saudi Arabia is going to utilize its advantage in terms of the location. So the first question to Mr. Islam. So Saudi Arabia sits at the crossroads of 3 continents and enjoys one of the lowest energy cost structures globally. So how do you think that kingdom can leverage these natural and geographic advantages to position itself as regional data hub, this data center hub?
Actually, this is like an interesting question. Like, you know, Saudi Arabia is going through a large transformation program, the 2030 vision, and maybe it is one of the largest transformation like in modern history. And one of the main pillars is the digital infrastructure. So as announced by MCIT, they are planning to increase their data capacity to 1.3 gigawatt by 2030. We are seeing like this is happening. A lot of regulations are being in place by MCIT, CITC. A lot of public funds are injected. A lot of partnership between local developers and large hyperscalers. You can see it in the market. And of course, like the low power tariff that is here in Saudi Arabia, even there is more subsidizing for cloud infrastructure providers. So this is all are like putting Saudi Arabia ahead to move from being a data consumer market to data exporting market. And we will see it like in the coming years that Saudi Arabia will lead the digital infrastructure not only in the Middle East or in the GCC region, but also in Africa, South Asia, and Europe. So I think Saudi Arabia is going there and positioning itself in a very good way.
Okay. So in continuation to this, Mark, over to you. So with new subsea cables and terrestrial fiber corridors emerging, so how close are we to realize Saudi Arabia's vision also of becoming the interconnection between Europe, Asia and Africa?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the subsea cable is submarine cables, and terrestrial will actually kind of help. I think it's exponentially going to grow. I think the one thing that we have to think about is the security, and we've seen that in Europe about submarine cables and their fragility, and also through the kind of the Red Sea area for Jeddah, and looking at terrestrial, bringing that into play. And I think that with more security, more deliverables, I think we are well versed in Saudi Arabia to connect, especially the African markets. And you said one thing, and that was export. It's not about importing, it's about actually being a powerhouse to export and increase the GDP in Saudi Arabia alongside the 2030 initiatives for the vision of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, so in continuation to this, so Faysal, low cost and renewable energy are clear advantages, but how can Saudi data centers translate into competitive pricing, especially in terms of green credentials and sustainable hyperscale operations that appeal to global investors?
Thank you. So basically, Saudi is one of the world's most cost-effective in terms of producing the energy. Currently, they are between $0.04 to $0.05 US dollars still, which is the cheaper. However, they are working with multiple giga projects like NEOM, Kedia, and Spark to 50% conversion from conventional energy to the renewable energy. Recently, they have signed the PPA agreements already for the 58 gigawatt of the renewable energy, which is, in my opinion, is down the line is very attractive market in terms of consumption of energy and investment as markets here, where the ROI will be much easier and faster compared to any other market in the region even.
Okay, thanks Faysal. So over to Girish. So what are the factors like site selection, climate conditions and access to energy grids are shaping where new data centers are being built, and how are developers balancing density with resilience? Great.
Yeah, it's a good question. So, okay. So I'll just brief about that Saudi, how in data center industry it is moving. Today, I think in Saudi around 350 megawatt, and in by 2030 is missing is going more than 1 gigawatt, 1.3 gigawatt. So which is most of the transformation is happening like in a digitalization platform. So the data is increasing. The other part of things is that country kingdom is thinking about, that all the data should be in-house within the country, so that the demand will increase within kingdom, so that a hyperscaler will attract here to invest something. Mostly that hyperscaler wants 2-3 things to make much better efficient sustainable data center. That is one. My friend talked about energy cost. So energy cost is lower, so this is one of that area where always hyperscaler look around. So when your energy cost is lower, of course, you are investing less into that. And also your OPEX cost is coming less. And another advantage is Mark talked about that, sea fiber marine cable. So that any data center, if you are setting up in any country, so it is, always good to have to connect with the rest of the world. So this is your backbone if it is connecting. So hyperscaler wants to that kind of stability and that kind of robust solution, that infra which can be taken if, let's say, data flow from this country to another country. So easily it can be transferred, right? So that hyperscaler are more interested into these factors. And nowadays, if you talk about the climate, I have seen that, the temperature is high here. That yes, of course, in cooling side, there is a lot of energy will go. But same time, this kingdom is trying to build some energy solutions like in a solar energy. So they are booming in solar energy. If the solar energy comes in place, because that's the maximum output of energy they can take. If that kind of, transformation will happen from the energy source, natural sources like solar, if it will come, of course, your overall PUE will be in better position, and then your OPEX cost will be reduced. So these are the some advantages which, almost hyperscaler are looking. And I believe that by the initiative of 2030, so more of the hyperscaler are attracting in Saudi, which will be definitely a mega project kind of things for this kingdom.
Thanks, Girish. So, Islam, just on this question, so what are your views on site selection, climate conditions, and access to energies, and how data centers are being built in the region? Yeah.
I think site selection will be like the first worry for any hyperscaler. Mostly they want to take a site which is very close to the power grid, having the fiber connectivity. Now to make the balance between the high density racks and the resilience of the site, they are going more into the coastal areas like Jeddah and Dammam, where they can have like less ambient temperature, can maintain better PUE. But also with the high demand in Riyadh, where the digital zones are, and the expansion that is happening in the digital infrastructure in Riyadh region. We are seeing a lot of adaptation to the mix of like the district cooling, the air cooling, and the liquid cooling to like control the temperature with the evolving of AI technology adoption. Also, the government is pushing to move towards the green power. So we will see it happening, that like having the green power will have a lot of like positive impact in maintaining the PUE, having the mix of like the grid power and the solar power in specific.
Yeah. So I also agree with you on this solar power and then the moving towards the coastal areas. So my view is that even Saudi has an advantage in terms of using free cooling, because temperatures during the night, they dip pretty low, and if they start operating chillers on high temperature, air temperatures, then obviously it will make a added value to their overall PUE infrastructure. Yeah. So over to you, Mark. So how effective are current incentives and regulatory frameworks, especially in terms of PPP, public-private partnerships, in attracting hyperscalers and global operators to the kingdom? And what additional policy or financing mechanisms could accelerate the further growth?
Again, another good one. I've learned very quickly that if we're going to build the DC environment in Saudi Arabia, then we have to have a long-term plan, and the government's plan has to be long-term too. From an economics perspective, you're looking at why do a DC? Why actually invest the government's money and grants into a DC environment to bring people in, the FDI, the foreign direct investment. And the classic case is that the Saudi government has Humane, it has Aramco, and it's attracting BlackRock, as we saw today, to bring large opportunities here. Fundamentally, I've just started the fund up, and we're walking around and we're talking to the government. I think the government themselves, with PIF and everything else that's going on, there are enough short-term issues. And we look at the family offices to actually generate, especially in Saudi, they're very proud to actually build data centers out because it's real estate. And real estate is a significantly important thing. But Faysal, you said it earlier to me in the room, it's about, but the price of land can be too expensive for where you want to be. So, you've got to have an incentive in Saudi Arabia to bring those parts together. So people like me as an investor can come in and actually put the DC into a place where there is land that's reasonable, there is power that's reasonable, And we have not to be in the middle of nowhere where we cannot attract the people to actually work in the data centers. We also have a deficit of skills in the region. So I think from a government perspective, talking to the department or also the Ministry of Employment, they're really happy to kind of help to get the next generation of people. But we also know that if we go to the government today and ask for half of the money for the DCs, we're unlikely to get it. But what we do know is that if we have the family offices that are in the real estate world that actually want to have a really expensive hotel called a data center, we can provide that. And then people will come and the foreign direct investment comes, and the government is the last element to us of saying, okay, this is the building block in the wall that we need. I don't think that anybody that could sit in this room would say the government are the first ones to achieve, for me to actually say, I'm building a data center because the government said. We have to look at it the other way round, is that we're here, we have to find the tenants before we actually start the programs, and we have to build to the capacity rather than build to the future and hope the capacity comes here. Because if you do that this way round, I think there's a number of use cases that have damaged the reputation of people thinking about coming here. And they've tried to do it and they've not succeeded well. So we just have to be careful, cautious, build, and actually work together in partnership. And hopefully the incentives come along.
So in my view, as you correctly mentioned, so we have been interacting with a lot of Saudi authorities for some few of the projects, and they are very positive in terms of accommodating the client's request, especially from the power sector. So when we approach to any of the energy generating companies, and similarly on the resource crunch, the skilled resource. So how is your thought in terms of having a skill development centers, especially focused towards data centers with a government partnership? This is my thought, because I am seeing this trend in different regions where government is partnering with established OEMs or the operators to bring in skill development centers and then enhance the skill sets of the resources, so which can be also.
Yes, it's not just Saudi Arabia. I live in the UK, and you find that the data center market in Europe has actually created a vacuum of skilled cablers and people, and they're moving out of the UK into Romania and other areas. And it's a bit like the UK. You see a lot of people coming to Saudi. We have to put a policy and a process in of how do we actually not just make the managers the GMs, but the technical people. And we were at Princess Nora University today, and we were just talking to somebody, and we said, God, just think of women in DCs, and having a faculty to be able to do that. And so it's about not thinking outside of the box, it's thinking about how the next generation will actually make a difference to us. And we need to do simple things. Academies where you're not there for 3 to 5 years learning a master's, but you're there for 6 months to actually be able to create the next value enhancement in Saudi Arabia and beyond. Because this is growing. We're constrained by people. We're not constrained by the money.
Correct.
And the real estate.
Very true. Yeah.
Just to add into the same topic. So actually this is a global crunch. If you talk about in other countries also, I have seen that resources crunches are everywhere. Believe me, because there are many countries which is taking a proactive approach for that. Number one is that they are stopping migrating the people from that country to other countries, because the skill, the resources, the expertise will remain into that countries. So what is the value addition you are giving to your resources? What kind of facilities you are providing? Because see, what happened that if any industries goes peak, or the demand is increased, definitely there will be a resources crunch. So how you are fulfilling that resources, that's important. So Saudi is one of the area, I think, that they are retaining the people's skills, expertise within the countries, and also allowing people from the outside to come in Saudi and have this kind of platform for the resources. Those can be take in much better way to this industry to serve that. So I think this is good initiative by government of Saudi.
Yeah, thanks, Girish. Yeah, coming back to Faysal, so as Saudi develops edge and co-location markets along hyperscale infrastructure, how can it optimize distributed capacity to serve both domestic and regional demand efficiently? What are your views?
So basically, if we go a little bit background, Saudi Arabia installed, as Girish mentioned, around 250 megawatt. We reached to the level of the data center, and we are talking about 1 gigawatt or 1.3 gigawatt. Domestic internet traffic is keep increasing 35% year on year. The 80% of populations of the market have 5G coverage. In the same time, if we see the technology, the latency side, they have centralized hyperscalers who have 20 to 25 millisecond latency, which is much more easier compared to other part of the world. Other side, the distributed architecture, if we are talking about providing the edge and decentralized and providing the modular kind of small pods, 5 megawatts pods in different regions, that will reduce further the latency between the app and the end user, and that will help to accelerate the processing. In the same time, 65% of enterprise data, as per the Gartner report, will be processed outside the data center by 2027. So that's mean the modular design or architecture is the future as per the trend running out of this part of the world as well. We were discussing different edge technology before this discussion with Mark, and we were having different conversation. So in my opinion, I think the hybrid model where we need decentralized and we need distributed architecture is the way forward. In the same time, Mark talked about the submarine cables. So connectivity wise, Saudi has 16 submarine cables connected to UAE, Jordan, Egypt. So connectivity wise, infrastructure wise, technology wise, I think they are way ahead. The only thing is we need to finalize the architecture that work for the future next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, that's good insights, because I very well remember that when I was initially working on data center projects way back in 2006-8, so it was all centralized, and then they moved to decentralized. Then it became cloud. Hybrid cloud is the latest, and as you correctly mentioned, especially to minimize the latency, so the edge is always required.
Just Kim, sorry to allow me. One of the use case which we are working with one of our client came into my mind, that the traffic violation all of us are getting. Within the urban, we are getting instantly, and remote areas we are getting after 3 to 4 days. So we are providing technology currently to the customer where we are installing the edge to do the analysis on the spot and instantly issue the violation ticket. So this is one of the use case where the service and user experience and customer experience also changing.
Yeah, agree completely. And Girish, looking towards 2030, so what would success look like for Saudi Arabia's digital infrastructure ecosystem, and what immediate actions must the industry take to secure position now?
Yeah, good question. So the initiative which is government is taking, Saudi government, for 2030, I think there are very, vision is very clear that they want to completely digitalized, and more they are attracting to the hyperscaler to come in within this kingdom. So what is happening actually? How you attract this hyperscaler? Two things I said. One is power. Another is your sea cable. Third thing is Mark is here because that capital you need, right? So is the right guy to investing and supporting to all co-location player that for investment to come here. Okay, government should look a little bit about that, the data which is flowing right now from within country to outside. So they need to protect that, should not go outside, because this is all citizen data and some banking critical data. So that has to be within the city. If those kind of policies comes for kingdom, definitely it will increase the demand within in-house, within the country, so that most of the player will start thinking about it and investing about in kingdom. So in 2030, there are a lot of the government has PIF, that is Public Investment Fund. So this is one of the initiative, right? So fund wise, they don't have any issue. Another is Mark mentioned about the human AI. So a lot of AI initiatives their government is trying to regulate. So once that has happened, so your demand will increase within the country. Once the demand will increase, definitely there will be a lot of investor and the co-location player will come, and of course that will attract the hyperscaler. If I'm not wrong, that few of the hyperscaler already started investing, and they have already started their operation in Saudi, and most of them are looking forward for that government initiative for this 2030, which is really very well mentioned in their websites, and a lot of information is flowing about the digitalization. So they are transforming from conventional to digitalization. So that's what more investor will and that hyperscaler will come, and that's how the demand will increase. I think 2030 is going to be boom, and we are expecting, this is a prediction of 1 gigawatt and more, but I believe that will go in numbers, double the numbers. Good luck.
Yeah, Islam. So over to you. What are your views on this 2030 vision for Saudi?
Actually, I'm very optimistic about the vision, because what I saw from I'm here since 2015, not permanently, then regular from 2019. There is a big difference happened. They are very resilient in achieving their targets. Everyone is working towards it. And as Grish mentioned, the 1 gigawatt will be below their ambition. They will go for more with this AI adoption. So I'm very optimistic about what I can see from the investment coming to the country, the support from the government, either from policy or public funds. So it will be as Grish mentioned, booming into 2030.
Yeah, Mark, over to you.
2030, yeah, it's going to be a great year. The one thing I do see is that whether we've got gigawatts of power and whether we've got DCs by 2030 at that level, I'm like to be an optimist, but the realist is that we should have started building yesterday. The investment money has to be here yesterday, and what we need to do is we need to look at the vision of 2030 is actually to turn around and say that we're going to increase GDP, data centers. The US was a 1% GDP increase, for the first time when they were going to flatline this month. Okay, that's a great signal for anybody here. It's not just about the data inside Saudi Arabia, it's export. It's about actually data has no boundaries. The only boundaries you have is where your data center is and if you want to be local. And I think that's a really powerful message. But I do honestly think that now what we should do is we should see what the future is going to be. It's not just about data centers. Data centers are the hotel room for me. What I need is the digital clients, the digital leadership that Saudi Arabia has, digital health. It's about defense and security. It's about sovereignty. And these are the things that you don't just have inside, but there are 8 billion people in the world. How about Saudi Arabia actually having all of the genomic codes for those 8 billion and actually being the library with the data center here? You know, this is the ambition that we can achieve, and we can achieve together. And that's how those gigawatts will actually increase, and that's how the GDP will increase, and that's how 2030 will become a reality beyond what anybody could imagine. And that's where I leave that today.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Faysal, any closing comments from your side?
I think they concluded very well. So the good thing about 2030 is very well cascaded. Every organization, public, private, have the KPIs linked to the 2030. That is why they are very successful. It's not only, as rightly mentioned by Mark, it's not only about data center. So they have Digital Government Authority, which is having the digital maturity index, where they are indexing each and every organization in terms of their maturity level year by year. So they are going into the right direction, and I believe the way they are going, they will be finished before 2030. This is, it seems, because we are talking about 1 gigawatt. I am aware about 2 or 3 RFPs I have worked on, 300 megawatt each. So that's almost close to 1 gigawatt. So we are already reaching what Girish was mentioning, to almost double what they planned earlier. So in next 1 or 2 years, you will see that we will reach to the level where Saudi Arabia will be data hub for the region, if not for the globe. As Mark, a very, very good suggestion about the data library for the global human. But they are ambitious, and their money is rightly utilizing in right direction, I believe. One of the discussion we had last week in other panel, which still in my mind is coming, what about the underdeveloped countries? The countries who doesn't have the money, they cannot invest on AI, so they will be way, way behind than developed countries. So I will leave this discussion here to think about it. What will happen in future with those countries? Either they will be served as a servant to the dominating AI countries, or how it will work. Thank you.
Yeah, just to add here, because see, the 2030 initiative by the government, I think it's a great vision. That's what that more of other countries is attractive here. So like we are a OEM of UPS system, and our factory is we are making India brand. So we are also trying to see that, industries is booming here, and that's how not only the data center, as you said, other industries is also booming, and the demand is increasing. And that's how we are getting a lot of leads from this country, and we are trying to invest, that complete in power infra solutions here in Saudi. So that's the reason actually more attraction is coming here, because we see that how the government's looking forward, and the visions they have set for 2030, and everyone like us as other player will also come and invest in this country. And that's how that more, because there will be a huge demand will increase, that's we know. And to fulfilling that demand of power infra solution, we have the right solution from BP, which we have demonstrated today in our, and my request to my all colleague also to come to our stall, and let's have a small chat there, and with some cup of coffee. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all. Thanks for this wonderful opportunity given to us. Thank you.